C-Town. We are so glad that you are with us today. This is Uncut, this is Uncensored. We are live. We are on the radio. WOVU 95.9 FM. And we're glad that you're here. My name is D Boogie. We got some beautiful people in the house. We're going to get into this show. We got a dandy today. You ladies go ahead and take it away.
Well, it's your girl Tasha. That's it.
That's it?
That's it. I'm
That's
doing
it?
That's it. That's it.
Oh,
okay.
Hold on, what happened to our intros though? I'm feeling some type of way about that. You know, normally you kind of give us a little bit of a better intro. Maybe we should start over. Let's try it.
You want to start over?
Let's start over. Let's do it.
Hold on. Let's do it like this.
There we go.
beautiful girl.
Yeah.
There we go.
Y'all know what it is.
Thank you.
Y'all know what this is.
Thank you.
They got nothing on you.
Yeah. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
What's up, y'all? Once again,
There
this
we
is
go.
Uncut Uncensored. You're listening to 95.9 FM. I'm your boy,
There you go.
D Boogie, and we got some beautiful people in the house.
There we go.
This day,
Yes.
today, we got 3 beautiful women in the house.
There we go.
Yeah, one of us is a special guest. We're gonna say the special guest for last.
Yes.
All right, is that good with you?
That's great.
All right. But meantime, over here we got the beautiful Kira in the house. What's happening?
Hey everyone, this is Akira, also known as
Okay.
Tender.
Tender.
Tender. Tender. Tender what?
Tender.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's it.
Just tender.
Tender. Now, when you can catch me at Tender 10 on IG.
There you
Yeah.
go. Okay.
There it is.
Okay. See, because when you don't give our intros
Why don't they
right.
give you yours?
Oh, my bad, my bad.
Yeah, come on now.
Come on.
And of course, we have
Yeah.
the beautiful,
Yeah.
the leader.
Yeah.
Oh, that.
Love it, love
Love it.
it.
Look at that
Yes.
smile. I wish I could say
Yes.
this beautiful
Well,
smile.
they can catch us on YouTube.
Oh, well, okay.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Well, you know who we got right here?
Who y'all got?
We got the beautiful Tina.
What's up, world? What's up, world? It's your girl Tasha in the house. Y'all listening to Uncut Uncensored. Before we move and introduce our lovely guests, y'all listening to WOVU.org. Y'all can catch us on IG at Uncut.Uncensored. Y'all can click on over to YouTube, catch us in motion, in visual, at Relationship Talk, Uncut, Uncensored. So without further ado, I'm gonna introduce my friend, my homegirl, my sister from another mister, relationship coach, motivational speaker, author,
Woo!
and I'm gonna speak it into existence, #1 bestseller.
Yeah.
Of a very powerful book called The Power of Unforgiveness. Miss Sandra, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Tasha, for that intro. I appreciate it.
Yes, girl, you
The accolades. What's really happening?
Yes.
I'm honored to be your guest today. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yes. Well, we are so happy to have you.
Absolutely.
Listen, we gonna dig all up into this book. Like, we really gonna get to the nitty gritty of it because it's talking about unforgiveness.
Yes.
We all. I'm sorry. I'll speak for me because I'm sure a lot of people don't deal with unforgiveness, right? I'm sure
Oh,
forgiving
what?
people is very easy.
Really? What happened?
I'm being sarcastic. But, so we're going to share some experiences because we want people to be able to be healthy because that's what we're about, right?
Absolutely.
Happy, healthy, whole relationships. And then we're going to get it from a male's perspective because women think that we're the only ones that harbor unforgiveness.
Ooh, wait.
Oh, we. So Don
Yeah.
Boogie.
Yep.
D Boogie. I'm sorry, you D Boogie
Well,
today,
you
right?
know, I could be Don Juice.
Don, which one you gonna be today?
But it's all good. Whatever you want to call it.
So before we do all that, so Sandra, if you could share with us, you can kind of give us a synopsis. And so for our YouTube watchers, listen, here's the book. My sister friend bought me this wonderful glass. Listen here, it's a mug. So like I said, y'all can catch us on YouTube at Relationship Talk Uncut Uncensored. So y'all see the book, It's beautiful, right? Look at it. Look at it. Go get it. Go cop it. She gonna tell y'all where y'all can get it from. But can you tell us a little bit about the book?
Well, this book was birthed from a very painful experience in my life back in the summer of '08 when I was separated from my husband and just started my journey on my road to healing when I was all alone and begged for that separation. You know, when a relationship is not going quite the way we desire, and when we see it's going awry, we want to play the blame game, right? And so I'm left all alone, and I'm begging God, you know, for a separation. Like, I can't live this way anymore. And unbeknownst to me, he had a setup for a girl.
Not a setup.
A setup.
Oh, let's talk about the setup.
The setup, you know, when you looking at somebody else and he said, wait a minute, girl, you think somebody else messed up. Check yourself. Look in the mirror, right? So,
I'm sorry. I don't get that.
You don't get that?
Yeah.
Well, let me explain a little bit further for you.
Okay, thank you.
While I was there, it's so interesting because, again, I'm thinking my husband is the root cause of all my pain and my issue. And so while I'm begging for this separation and I get what I asked for, you know how they say, be careful what you pray for because you just might get it?
Yes.
Well, it's one of those situations where I prayed. I didn't pray, I begged, right? I begged. And so my prayer was answered, and when I was left alone, my pain didn't, you know, I didn't feel that joy that most people talk about, that peace that people talk about when, you know, they pray for something. No, my pain got worse and it felt like death. And so I said, okay, if I still feel this way, he's no longer here and I'm in the house by myself, then what's wrong with me?
Wow, so you realized that it wasn't the husband. Wow. So while you were pointing your finger at your husband, God allowed that separation, and you looked in the mirror and said, "Ooh, wait a minute. Is it me? No, God, it can't be me. Hold on. Have you seen me, God? I mean, I know you made me, but I'm just saying, you know, I'm just putting that out there for the listeners, because a lot of times, like you saying, we be so busy shining the light on our partner, and we be thinking our partner the problem, and then when our partner leave, and the problems are still there. Ooh, but go ahead.
Well, you know, it takes two to tango, right?
Yeah.
And so while we both, you know, was playing the blame game, and yes, while we both hurt one another, ultimately I had to take my eyes off of him.
Yeah.
Had I never took my eyes off of my husband, I would still be stuck in a place of unforgiveness. So for me, it's such a powerful journey. And so this book, again, was birthed out of that painful period. And when I was in a house by myself, you know, the Lord began to minister to me. And again, I just had my days where I would just cry my heart out. I'm just being transparent and going, almost slipping into a place of depression, to be quite honest with you. And then I just had this wonderful, amazing friend, you know, that I love so dearly, who happens to be a doctor. At the time, she wasn't a doctor, but she started a ministry of counseling in small groups. And so she wouldn't let me, you know, lay in my waist, if you will. She pulled me up. And she said, Sandra, God didn't allow you to go through this for any reason. And she, you know, God equipped her, if you will, to give me the tools that were necessary to help me take my blinders off. So I was like an onion being peeled one layer at a time. And so on my road to healing, if you will, in some of the classes I was taking, man, oh man, oh man, it forced you to look at the person in the mirror, the work that we had to do, the journaling and, you know, the soul searching to understand what I had been through, because in order to overcome some things, we have to have a level of understanding, right? So in all that get understanding. And so for me, in that place of isolation, it was what I needed at that time. It drew me closer to the Lord. But in the class, we did an exercise on forgiveness, and it was so powerful. I won't disclose everything because I want you to get the book so you can read the book so that you can understand the journey, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, the exercise that we did, I would just say this. At the end, we were told to tear up, rip up what we had to write and throw it away. And at that moment, Tasha, I could just feel this heaviness begin to lift off of me, and wasn't a dry eye in the room. It was so powerful. And at that moment, I knew forgiveness had been released in my heart. Yeah. And on my way home, I just heard this quiet voice say to me, I put him in your life
Yeah.
for you to save him.
Wow.
He needs to see my love through you. And if I was faithful and just to answer your prayers to expose,
Yeah.
why wouldn't I be faithful and just to answer your prayer for his healing? That blew me away. It was so simple, but yet so profound, because when we in that funky place, I'm going to call it the funky place, we speak death a lot of times. And we can't see what's going on around us because we're in darkness.
Yeah.
You're so unaware of your own issues
Yeah.
because you're so busy playing the blame game.
Yeah.
And so for me at that moment, in that awakening, I'm gonna call it an awakening, it was so profound for me, right? And on my way home as I'm driving, and as that was being spoken into my spirit, man, my mindset instantly changed.
Yeah.
But even through that, it was still a journey because I still had to travel the road of healing, and it was painful.
Yeah.
Healing is not easy,
Right.
but necessary. And I believe that forgiveness is the first step towards healing.
Yeah.
If you continue to play the blame game, if you continue to focus on the offense, you'll never become free.
Wow.
Repeat that one more time, please, for the slow listeners, that last sentence.
Yeah.
If you continue to focus on the offense,
Yeah.
or if you continue to play the blame game, you'll never become free.
Oh, great. So right now we have Miss Sandra Hurd in the studio. Her book is The Power of Forgiveness. This is the road to healing and restoration. So, you know, we're going to get into ask some questions, given some of our experiences and things of that nature. Really glad that you are in here today. I mean, you know, you've already sent chills through my body. You know what I'm saying? So listen, if you out there and you this show may hit you a little deeper, remember, it's Sandra Hurd, The Power of Forgiveness, and this is the road to healing and restoration.
Yeah. And before I ask, and then, you know, I know the rest of the crew, you know, have some questions, you know, and this is going to be such, because it's something that's not talked about often. You know, for people that go to church, you know, they tell you to, you know, dance around it, you know, do a tap, stand on your head, spit, and then it's gone. You know, okay, that's not really. But you understand what I'm saying. You know, but nobody really talks about, like you just said, the dark place. But before we do that, tell people how they can find you, because like Don just put out, you know, we have people that's listening. You know, they going through a rocky time right now. Things are a little rough. And we have some people in some desperate situations. You know, they are in some make or breaks, some do or dies, some if you don't take them, I wills, or if you don't take her, I wills. I'm just saying, let's be real here, you know? And so we want them to be able to get this book, you know, to be able to find you. So tell people how to find you.
So to get an autographed copy of the book, right, go to sandrahurd.com, click on books, and scroll down to where it says autographed copy. It can be purchased anywhere book is sold, but if you want an autographed copy, holler at your girl, go to sandrahurd.com.
Okay, so so we know if they go to Amazon, places like that, you know, the cost is a little bit different. So once again, where do you prefer them to go?
I prefer you to go to sandrahurd.com.
Right.
Click on books, click on The Power of Forgiveness, scroll down and click on whichever copy you want, while supplies last, primarily while supplies last,
Right.
for your autographed copy of The Power of Forgiveness, the road to healing and restoration.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Uncut Uncensored. This is WOVU 95.9 FM. Welcome back. If you want to check us out, make sure you go to our IG page. It's Uncut.Uncensored. Send us a shout out. You got any questions, we'll go ahead and take a look at that. We got our board up looking at IG, and we'll definitely respond to you if we can get to you. All right, T, you want to go ahead?
Yes. So one of the things I wanted to go back to, you mentioned, because a lot of people may get confused or may not really have a full, thorough understanding, when you mentioned rip up the list. If you can elaborate for the listeners listening what that list is and why it was important, because that's, yeah.
Okay, so actually it was a goodbye letter. So I'm going to challenge the listeners right now. Anything that you're struggling with, that you're holding on to, I want you to get in a quiet place. And I want you to write down things that you've been harboring in your heart. And when you get quiet, a lot of times you hear things that you normally wouldn't necessarily hear, so you got to drown out the noise.
Yeah.
So I had to write a goodbye letter for the things that I had to forgive my husband for. And it wasn't easy, right, to even come up with the list, because a lot of it was blame, you know. Because at that time, while I was doing the assignment, I didn't know what was buried inside of me at the time. And as I'm writing this, and I'm being obedient, what I needed to forgive. And then the moment, you know, each person was asked to share their experience. After we shared the experience, out of nowhere, the facilitator it's just the anointing. Said, now rip it up. You think you're gonna hold on to something? No, because part of forgiveness is letting go. It's a powerful choice at the end of the day. And this, I'm gonna say something that's so profound that many people, and the reason why I believe they get stuck in unforgiveness, because they tie it to how they feel. And hear me when I say this, it has nothing to do with how we feel.
What do you mean by that, they tie it to?
Now, I want you to, I don't want to dehumanize anyone, right? We need to own how we feel, process how we feel. It's about managing your pain, but forgiveness is a choice, because it tells us in scripture that if we want to be forgiven, we have to forgive, period. That is a commandment.
Okay.
And why is that important? Because if we don't forgive, what it does is open you up to be tormented. Because the negative emotions, I call them side effects in the book. The side effects that are associated are those ill emotions that we carry around, right? Anger, bitterness, resentment. Those things, when we let it fester in our heart, it become rooted. And what it does is give the enemy legal rights and access to torment you. And during that place of darkness for me, I was so bitter and so angry. I was blind, literally blind to my own issues, that I spoke death a lot. I didn't cover my husband. I allowed things to be said that, you know, because I didn't know any better. Because again, a lot of times, and I'll say this, one of the chapters in the book is close the door. And it came from my place of pity parties, where I bled on anybody who gave me a listening ear, because that's how broken I was. That's how bad it was for me. And part of the issue or the struggle my husband had with me was sharing too much of our personal information with people without his permission.
Talking too much, as men would say.
Talking too much. So, and when we're sick, because unforgiveness is listed as a disease in the medical books, in case you didn't know. And so when we're sick, when we're sick, we're bleeding on people, and we don't even realize what we're doing, because woe is me, I just want somebody to hear me. But what we do in that place is we make the person that we're talking about look so bad, because it's our perception based on where we are. But again, while you're pointing the finger at the other person, who's pointing at you? And because you're in that place of darkness, my body was racked with pain every single day. As a matter of fact, the trauma was so severe that it caused me to go into the preset of menopause. 43 years old at the time of the trauma caused me to go into early menopause.
And I'm glad, and I want to jump right in, because I'm glad that's a great place right where you went right there. Because we have some listeners that may believe in scripture and may not. And for the ones that don't believe, I don't want them to get lost in, in scripture, it says X, Y, Z. So what I want you to do, because you did some research and you did some study, and so we're talking about unforgiveness. If you don't want to take it from a spiritual standpoint, we'll give it to you from a medical standpoint on how it affects your body. If you can talk about the research that you found, the research that you did, and how that links to unforgiveness.
And the great thing is all of this is also in the book too.
This is all in the
Yeah.
book. Chapter 2 on the side effects of unforgiveness. The research I found was done by the by two doctors from the Cancer Treatment Association. I could be saying it wrong because I don't have my book in front of me. But they did a case study on people, cancer being linked to unforgiveness. It was 6 patients that this one, matter of fact, he's one of the doctors at the center, treatments of cancer. He did his study on 6 patients that all had cancer, and all of it was related to unforgiveness. And it talks about our soldiers or the cortisols that fight, cancer. At the end of the day, some of the side effects are anxiety, narcissism, cancer. And again, what blew me away is that it's listed in the medical books as a disease.
Wow.
That's the piece that blew me away when I was doing research, because I was led to do research to let people know just how poison, because it's like drinking poison but expecting the other person to die. And he said it's about 66% of patients that have cancer that are linked to unforgiveness. And the moment they have these tools and places in their heart where they release unforgiveness, it helped them to recover. And there's several other listings that happen. Chronic pain, like for me, I had chronic pain. I couldn't sleep at night, excruciating pain across my back and neck, my lower back. And I promise you, the moment I released forgiveness, all that pain subsided inside of me. It literally, I was carrying around poison and didn't even realize.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I really wanted you to, touch on that too, because, we live in a time, people can believe whatever they want to believe, whatever, but we want you listeners to understand, and the people who will be watching on our YouTube channel, that, it's not just about, from a spiritual standpoint. Yes, we want you to get it from a spiritual standpoint too, but if you don't get it from that place, we want you to get it from a medical point of view. And to forgive somebody is not about them, it's about you. And so for my ladies, and I don't really mean this the way I'm gonna say it, but I kind of do. We have a lot of ladies that's always talking about my edges. Maybe if you kind of let that bitterness, unforgiveness, and hatred go, your edges might grow back.
You know what?
I'm just saying.
I'm just trying to figure out what you.
I'm just saying.
What
I'm just saying.
are you talking about hair?
I'm talking about hair.
Oh, okay.
We ladies, they be losing. I've been there. Listen, I've been there. Let me put my own stuff out there. I done been there in that place where you mad, you angry, you pointing the finger, and as you're doing that, I'm losing. My hair's short already, so I couldn't afford to lose no edges. I was like, I'm getting a little thin. Am I going bald? What's going on? I come back. But anyway, and for the fellas, hold on, y'all are not exempt.
Ooh.
Y'all are not exempt. Dudes carry around a lot of unforgiveness too.
Yes.
And Z Boogie, you a man. I don't know if you ever experienced it or not, but brothers get their heart hurt too. They get disappointed, they get betrayed, they get cheated on. Good dudes. I know y'all, you don't like when I put that out there. But I'm talking about these good working men. They go to work every day, they pay the bills, they respectful, they love you, they love God, they follow, and they get these ratchet women. I'm sorry, did I say that?
You said that.
Well, you know what? They don't have to be a ratchet woman. It could be any type of woman.
I call myself, but some of them ratchet though.
Well,
Some of them are ratchet.
Good dudes try not to be with ratchet women,
but sometimes ratchet women turn into good dudes.
You know what?
But to your point.
Yeah.
Okay.
But to my
point.
point, good dudes get hurt too, and they hold a lot of unforgiveness, and they begin to experience some health issues, high blood pressure, excessive, body gain and the weight in the stomach area, other issues, that, depression, that is a whole nother silent killer. Don, could you speak to the brothers out there if you have ever, I know D Boogie, I know that's kind of a long stretch.
What are you talking about?
No unforgiveness over there, huh?
No, I mean, this is really interesting because from my own personal experience, I know when I've been through a lot of pain, the one thing that pain did was it consumed me.
Yeah.
So I was in it, didn't want to be in it, but it was all over me. It was all over my walk of life, everything that I would do and, say, act, put on. And I think with a lot of guys, well, from my experience, so I'm talking for the fellas from my experience, is that, we become so hurt and hard that we become disrespectful. And being I believe we become disrespectful to women, disrespectful to ourselves and the people that we love, and it becomes very hard if we don't forgive ourselves or look for something to give us this positive energy on the thing that we believed in all this time, which is love. We become a prophet for unlove, and that's how we treat people. So I believe that's why a lot of guys may have been in a good relationship, a decent relationship at one time, had no outlet, and without an outlet, just turned into what you call a player, and just out here kicking it and things of that nature. And and that's no good for anyone that's involved in that. So I believe that, as I see here, you talked about blame games and things of that nature. You talked about some, the side effects you talked about already. But that process with guys is we really just don't care, because we trying to get beyond, this hurt and pain. And I know for a fact that too, you can really become a little bit more happy within yourself, that you can, get to the point to where you can not only forgive someone else, but you can forgive yourself. And and to me, that's the key. Like you said earlier, Sandra, most people look at trying to blame on someone else. They're looking at, it really wasn't me.
Right.
They don't take ownership in their role, and then they just try to, just give it all to somebody else, and, I'm about a book.
I appreciate that. You two brought up some things that I want to share that I think are key points. Tasha, you said forgiveness has nothing to do with the other person. And that is so true. Forgiveness is a powerful choice. It's the choice to say, I'm going to let go of those things that I've been holding on and carrying from relationship to relationship. But some of you are saying, I don't know how to let go, right? And here is a caveat too. Secrets kill. Secrets destroy. What you conceal cannot be healed. And so a lot of times when we're blind to our own issues, the person who wounded you, typically 9 times out of 10, triggered unresolved issues. A lot of times we carry baggage from relationship to relationship unknowing, right? And so whatever is not transformed, meaning you didn't resolve, you didn't work on it, it's going to be transferred into the next relationship. And who is the common denominator? We are. We take us, and that's the realization. I didn't recognize patterns in relationships until I was by myself. And I said, oh my God, I've been dating the same person.
Different things.
Except they each have a different name.
Wow.
Why is that? What is in me? And what we fail to realize sometimes too is that hurt people hurt other people. And it's like a magnet. We attract and we draw that which is what inside of us. And we don't even realize it. And so until you learn how to manage your pain, manage your expectations, because a lot of times, I'm just going to be honest, I went into the marriage with a fantasy, with a white picket fence. I was always that type, that proverbial white picket fence. I want to live this happy life. Marriage is going to be this way, but we all come in for a rude awakening, based on our expectations. And so, as my husband liked to say, reality collides with expectation when we say I do. Because a lot of times when we say I do, we don't know what we're saying I do too, right? And for those of you who are single, and even for those of you who are dating and looking to be in a relationship, Do you wonder at times, am I getting the authentic person
Okay. Or the representative.
or the representative? Because a lot of times we camouflage how we really feel, and we always put our best foot forward when we
Yes.
enter into those relationships. And so it's important that before if you've been in a relationship and you've been in it for a while, it's important that you take time out for self-reflect, and get some healing. Because if it didn't work out, 9 times out of 10, there was some issues in that relationship. And it could have been issues not even directed from that person, but that person again triggered wounds that were buried deep inside of you that you weren't even aware of. And so now, instead of taking your frustrations out on the new person, or you got up this wall like, I'm not gonna let this happen again, I'm not gonna let that happen again. Well, that's not fair to the person that you're trying to be involved with. So I say give yourself a year or longer to heal before you enter into another relationship and find out who you are, especially if you don't know who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, and if you continue to look at this pattern of behavior, you're going to find yourself in the same cycle over and over again.
Yeah. Woo! Listen, y'all are listening to Uncut, Uncensored. Yeah, it's a little rough. Just take a deep breath, grab a glass of water, clear your throat. Today, y'all gonna face some real issues, and not like that walk to the mirror. But we're gonna come right back. That's a great place to take a break. We're gonna give y'all a little breather. But we'll be right back with more from Sandra. Y'all listening to Uncut, Uncensored, 95.9. Cop the app. Y'all can listen to it on your phone, WOVU.org. We'll be back. Uncensored. It's your girl. I'm here with my people, D Boogie, Akira, and our lovely guest, Miss Sandra Hurd, author, speaker, motivational coach, The Power of Unforgiveness. And we left off at you talking about forgiveness being a choice. And there was a lot that was dropped on the table. And so my thing is, another thing I wanted to ask you that you spoke on, and then I'm gonna get into some more of the book, was you mentioned people taking a break from dating, isolation. Can you talk about a little bit more? Because so often people get out of marriages, they get out of relationships, and they go from that person to that person. And that's universal for men and women. Guys don't want to deal with the pain. Women don't want to deal with the pain. I think women more so, and I'll speak, from experience, we're quick to point the finger at the guy first. I think we're notorious for that in our truth. I think dudes, they know they mess up so much. I'm saying that like that, right? And they're quick to say, it was me, I messed up. I really dropped the ball on that one. Some. Okay, Karen, my bad.
I'm over here having a heart attack.
Some.
But you get that off, go ahead.
Some, but for the most part, women, we quick to point the finger at the man. Because we dare not think it's us. Because we think we perfect, let's just be real.
Really?
We do, I'll be honest. We really think, that y'all should be thankful that God allowed y'all to cross our path.
A woman can't think they're perfect when they want to ask you, baby, how did that taste? They wouldn't ask that.
I'm saying we don't think we perfect, but we think we close to it. So we never, Kira. So we never really point the finger at us, and that's just the truth. But when situations like this happen, and when you are forced to take that time, at least if you want to be better, and you want to be mentally and emotionally healthy, and you're really tired, like the song say, don't you want to be happy? And you're tired of repeating the same cycle over and over and over again, you're gonna do the work. So if you can talk about the groups that you took, because we have a lot of women, they self-isolate or they jump. And then if you could talk about, you took some classes, and you said you had a girlfriend that basically walked alongside with you to help you through that process, for the ladies and the men.
Thank you.
What? I said, I'm not excluding y'all.
Yeah, it sounded like we were being excluded.
No, we can never exclude the brothers. We need y'all, man. We need y'all.
We take the class with you.
Okay. So if you could talk about, the importance of your friend that helped you. So really, it sounded like she was kind of the gas that got you started. If you could talk about that and why that's important. At least if you don't have nobody, at least have one person. And for a lot of listeners that don't know, I'll share this. And I don't mind because nobody has a hell or a grave or heaven or hell to put me in. And so I can speak about it candidly. I met Sandra on my journey, when I was coming out of my marriage. And I'm a very private person for those that know me. And for those that don't, I am. And I don't share my business. And, I just believe, I always drop God out here like this. God has such great divine timing and the people that he placed in your lives at the right time, at the right place. And so when I met Sandra, she was very instrumental. She was key. She was the gas to help me realize you're not as perfect as you think. I know. It was a tough pill to swallow, man. Listen. I was like, Sandra, you
can come on the show every day.
I was like, girl, you crazy. Have you met me?
Did you not see me when you saw me?
Right. Did you not see me when you I'm just But, she was that person for me. And I'm thankful for that. So if you can talk about that, the importance of, men and women having someone.
That good counsel.
Counsel.
Not that yes person.
Come on, Kira, talk about it. Go ahead, girl. You got the mic.
Okay, so I feel like that is very important. It's also good to have somebody in your corner that's going to tell you the truth, but also support you along your journey. But I have some questions. Okay, so during the time of your isolation and you were allowed to do some introspect, what did you find?
Oh my God, that's a very good question. Ooh. And I could tie that with Tasha's question and answer it simultaneously. She asked what classes I took. You said what introspect. The biggest thing you have to do is be honest with yourself, right? Because my favorite book always says, the truth shall set you free. The biggest thing I learned, I'll tell you one class that just blew me away, right? The Healing the Mother Wounds class. Now at the time, it was recommended to me by my girlfriend who was a doctor, and I just love her because she is just, I'm so grateful to God because as you guys are asking, one, we need accountability. We need somebody to tell us our mess stink. Ooh. Tell us the truth in love. And it's not always easy to hear, right? Because she was already a therapist, a licensed therapist, while ethically she couldn't be my therapist, she knew what I needed. And so she led me on my journey and my road to healing to different small group classes that I talk about in the book. So I'm not going to mention all of them because why? I want you to get the book.
Absolutely. Right.
Okay, so I'll mention 2 key specific classes that were instrumental in helping me understand the behavior that I, once had that, because we carry residue. But the biggest takeaway, healing the mother wounds. And when I was recommended to take the class, at first I was hesitant because I'm going, I don't have no issues with my mother. Me and my mother, we get along well. We very close.
Right.
But I was in for a rude awakening.
Yes.
That class really taught me the different types of mothering styles that we receive while growing up. And those mothering styles have a profound effect on our behavior. So a lot of our issues, whether we realize it or not, it stems from childhood.
Yeah.
And so my mothering style, her mothering type, or that I received from my mom, was considered the phantom mom. And we used the book The Mom Factors by Robert Townsend, Dr. Robert Townsend, and I can't think of the other doctor right now, but they're
it's in the book, right?
It's in the book.
It's in the book, people.
Love is in the book.
It's in the book. And they give you 6 mothering styles, right? So my mom's style that I grew up under was called the phantom mom. What is a phantom mom? A phantom mom is the mom who meets all your physical needs, like your food and your clothing, but she don't meet your emotional needs. And as a result of you not getting those emotional needs met, it causes a lot of insecurities. You don't get the nurturing you need. You don't get the love and things of that nature. And for me, I wondered if my own mother loved me, because I never heard the words "I love you" while growing up. While my mom did the best she knew how, it wasn't enough. And when we think about love, it's really an action word, right? It's not really how we feel. It goes back to, again, how we look and how we emote based on how we feel. But because I didn't get the hugs and I didn't get the affirmation, man, there are many nights I cry myself to sleep wondering if my mother loved. Now, she knows this because we've had these conversations, and I love my mom because we get along very well. But that was an eye-opener for me. And because I didn't get the nurture I needed, what did that allow me to become? I transferred those issues, and I was looking for my husband to fill those voids that he could not possibly fulfill in his humanness. And this is where we sometimes take on idol worship without even realizing, because here I am making it all about him, and I'm looking for him to be this person or to fill this void that he couldn't fill. That hurt, that pain I carried from relationship to relationship, not knowing, looking for love in all the wrong places was my biggest issue, because that's what I longed for and that's what I need. But ironically, it allowed me to become an enabler, a codependent, if you will. Look at the book. And for me, what blew me away is my own mothering style. So your question was, what did it allow me to reflect on? I was a hot mess. I'm not even gonna tell the fib. My mouth, while I didn't curse, I went head to head, toe to toe with my husband, because I ain't know no better, because, you know, that's how I was raised. You know how sometimes they say you could take the ghetto, you could take the woman out the ghetto,
Not take
but
the
get the ghetto out the woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, God is still redefining me. Yeah, thank you, Jesus.
Amen. Yes,
So, he'll do it.
Me too.
And so for me, oh my God, I was the American Express mom. Don't leave home without her. You know that slogan. So what are some of the side effects of that mothering style? Well, you hinder your children from being able to make decisions because you're doing it all for them. And so because of my need for love, I overcompensated because I didn't want my children to feel that same hurt and pain that I felt while growing up. And so unbeknownst to me, I'm controlling. I was controlling. That's another mothering style. That controlling, because why? I've been wounded, I've been hurt, and I got this wall up. So guess what?
It's
you ain't
never
about to
gonna
control
happen
nothing.
again.
We ain't having it.
Right.
While you playing until God had to redefine me.
Yes.
Did that answer one of your questions?
Yes, you did. Then I'm sure it's in the book, but is there like what if someone doesn't see that they can learn from taking some introspect or taking a look at in the mirror? How do you get others to recognize that it's time to look at yourself?
I'll give you some signs, like for me, and I'm gonna talk about the second class and probably even more profound than the mother wounds, healing the father wounds.
Oh, so we got mother and father.
We got mother and we got father wounds.
Daddy
Mother,
issues.
father.
Now my father,
Look at me.
Well, you the only father in this room.
my father was absent because he was deceased. Nevertheless, it still caused me a lot of hurt and pain because I really don't know anyone on my father's side of my family as a result of him being deceased and killed when I was 2.5 years old. What happens is because a father is created to protect, he is the one who should theoretically take his daughter on their first date.
Yes.
He is the one who should teach his daughter how a man should treat and respect a woman. He is the one who should give her that love that she desires and needs so that she understands what it is when a man comes to her, what it is she can spot, a fraud along the way if she was, raised properly by her dad. And because I didn't get that, what happens with your father wounds is the little girl. That's the class where I learned about the little girl that was trapped inside of me that I didn't know existed until I was on my road to healing. And then I began to see that little girl act out. How funny is that? I even began to see the little boy and my husband act out when we would have our arguments back then. I was like, wow, so profound. And a lot of times people get stomped at that place of trauma from a little girl or a little boy. And if they never receive healing, then they don't understand why they're in this cycle. So your question was, how do people begin to recognize it's time to get help? When you begin to look at a pattern of behavior. When you begin to look not only at the type of men or women that you've been attached to or dating, that's a red flag. A lot of times love is blind, so we don't see the red flags at the beginning. If we're honest with ourselves, we see those red flags in the beginning when we ignore them. Why? Especially those who have codependent nature and you don't know it. Oh, I'll fix him.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll fix him. The project.
Special projects.
Special project. So
Men and women.
Men and women. You know, I'm gonna fix her or I'm gonna fix him instead of fixing yourself.
Yeah.
So those are some signs, is to look at the behavior, right? The other thing is, you know, do you have these feelings that come over you sometimes feelings of loneliness, sometimes feelings of despair, sometimes feelings of abandonment or rejection, and you don't know the source. Like, why do I feel this way? Or, as a matter of fact, one of my friends who I journeyed with didn't understand until we were journeying on her road to healing. She didn't understand. She always had this feeling of not feeling good enough. Like, where did it come from?
Yeah.
So when you have that mindset, that thinking, that's an indication that you need some help. You may not think you need help, or just the fact that you've been in one relationship after the next. And forgive me, because I never want to offend anyone. And again, I don't want to dehumanize anyone. A lot of times in a marriage, we don't want to do the work, right? Because it takes work. It takes two to tango, and it takes both to do the work.
Yeah.
You can't have a situation like mine where unforgiveness was so heavily rooted and toxic. You were both toxic at one time before the reconciliation. If only one person do the work, you're going to find yourself right back in that rut again.
Absolutely.
You cannot come back together and not address those issues that caused you to go awry in the first place. So healing can be a painful journey, but it's so worth it. So at the end of the day, I hope I answered your question and giving people an inclination of just, again, look at your behavior. If you're not in denial, because if you're in denial, you won't see it, right? Look to see if you're going through a divorce, for example. Because mine felt like death, even though I didn't divorce, it felt like a divorce because we were separated for 15 months. And in that 15-month period, we only probably talked off and on, on one hand. So a lot of times we didn't even have communication for a long period, maybe like 6 or 7 months, we didn't even talk, right? I had to really focus on me and focus on my healing, but forgiveness allowed me to be open for reconciliation and praying for him differently. But many people that I know at the same time who were going through a divorce, it was so easy for them to walk away because they may have divorced more than once. With me being my husband's second wife, he wanted to walk away, right? Because he's like, we've been apart for a long time.
Right.
You know, I think we should go our separate ways. And the seed I planted with him was, well, what's your grounds? I know what God said to me, well, what's your grounds, right?
Yeah.
And so I let him go. You know the saying that said, you love someone, set them free, and if it was meant to come back, then, you know how it goes.
Yeah,
I'm saying it wrong.
love,
But nevertheless, my husband, told me after we reconciled that the Lord told him he couldn't walk away from this.
Wow.
So just like I had to forgive, he had to forgive, and we both had to do the work. So we did counseling coupled with some of the small groups that we had, or primarily that I had. But at the end of the day, too, I'm gonna go back to my girlfriend.
Okay, before you do that, we're gonna take one more break. We'll let you finish up there. We have Sandra Hurd in the studio. Her book is The Power of Forgiveness, and you're listening to Uncut Uncensored. We'll be right back.
Uncut Uncensored. Sandra, if you can finish where we left off at.
Yes, I just want to make one key note in terms of accountability. When I was talking about my husband also being told that he couldn't walk away from our marriage. My girlfriend, not once did she ever say anything negative about my husband. She kept it about me and, helping me get to my healing. I think that is so crucial because, again, back to my chapter on Close the Doors, I bled on people who, to good intentions, only looked at it from my perspective without really holding me accountable. And I just think it's so crucial and so important because what you don't want is for people to, especially if the door opens for reconciliation, like in my case, those people that you bleed on who, are not looking at things from the lenses that you're now looking at, especially when you're walking in forgiveness, they may begin to look at you sideways and begin to tear you down. And so for me, I had to isolate and get back into a quiet place and only share as I began to learn that I had to only share when I was released to share. And then anybody who came with me with a negative voice, I had to shut it down and love because I couldn't entertain it anymore. So I just think that's important to bring up.
Go ahead, Kira. Yeah.
Okay, so as you continue to talk and I hear about the classes and the steps you've taken, I'm starting to realize that this book may also be beneficial for those that are trying to heal from maybe not romantic relationships, but other relationships as well. Would you agree?
Absolutely, because a lot of times when we, as I mentioned before, we could be carrying around issues and not even know. I'll be honest to say I was literally blind to my issues until I was doing the work in each of my small group class. It requires a lot of journaling, a lot of self-reflection, but learning key things about what I was going through. And that's when I realized that it really wasn't, it was both of us. My husband hurt me, I hurt him too. And it was in my grief recovery class with some of the work we had to do there. I mean, that one was an eye-opener for me. And I'm going, oh my God, he hurt me, but I hurt him too. I had to call and apologize to him. Yeah.
Okay.
I think you're giving away too many classes. You said there's only two. I've heard four.
Still some more,
Right.
Still some more. It's in the book.
It's in the book. Thank you.
And the location for those that are reading the book, are they able to go into, are these classes, are they still in session?
These classes are not. However, I'm working on small groups for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing, that I wanted to also mention is that I want you to tell about how long you and your husband been married now, because that's important. Let's talk about the reconciliation. How long have y'all been married now?
Okay. So last month, November 10th, we celebrated 19 years of marriage.
Congratulations. That's
Yes, so it was year 5 and 6 where the rockiness hit in our marriage. So it was those first latter years. And again, I tell a story in the journey of the book. So again, get a copy of the book. It was year 5, 6 where we hit rock bottom. Separated for 15 months. We've been reconciled as of October of this year. 11 years we've been reconciled.
Congratulations.
And also, this is important. I also want you to tell the listeners, because when God do a thing, He does a thing. He just shows His whole everything. Can you tell the people what your husband does now for other people that are struggling?
Yes. So thank you.
In 30 seconds or less.
You gotta get to wrap it up.
So thank you for that. Go to the website, sandrahurd.com. I want you to click under media, and I want you to click on the trailer on the power of forgiveness. It is so powerful. Why? Because it was anointed and appointed by my husband, James Robert Hurd II, and he is Pro Production Media. He is a voiceover artist, videographer, and editor. And he's a minister.
He also mentors men.
He also mentors men. So men who's experiencing what God allowed him to overcome. So I'm so grateful for my husband and just releasing me to share the story. I could not write this book without his express written notarized consent, not just his express written consent, but notarized consent. So I am so humbly grateful for the journey.
One last time, let us know where we can get the book, because we got to get up out of here.
You can get the book at Sandra Hurd, that's Heard, not Hurd like Hurd, but that's www.sandra, SandraHeard.com.
All right. Well, very great show.
Yeah.
Something you want to close with right quick?
No, that's it. Listen, for the men and the women, go grab the book. Men get hurt too. Sisters, we hurt our brothers as well. You know, we want y'all to be healed. We want y'all to be healthy. You know, we need y'all. We can't do this without y'all. Y'all been listening to Uncut Uncensored. It's your girl Tasha. I'm here with my boy D Boogie. Follow us, subscribe, share. YouTube, Relationship Talk, Uncut Uncensored. Kier,
Hey, we out.
I guess that's it.
Thank you guys so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.